Do you ever wonder if there's more going on in a movie than meets the eye? Filmmakers can spend several years working on just one movie, so it shouldn't come as much of a surprise that some of them pack their movies to the gills with hidden meanings. And TV writers do the same thing, with attentive viewers capturing details that can pay off in later episodes. Here are Screen Rant's 10 hidden meanings of famous movie and TV scenes, and just to warn you, there will be some spoilers. Inception, the spinning top is a red herring. The final scene of Christopher Nolan's Inception caused a lot of speculation back in 2010, when the screen cuts from a spinning top to the credits. It ends on an ambiguous note. If the top stops spinning, that means Cobb is in the real world. If it keeps spinning, that means he's still inside a dream. But where is Cobb at the end of the film? Well, we don't really know, but it's likely that Nolan wants to challenge what we think is real and why we value it in the first place. After Cobb spins the top, he walks away from it to be with his children. Maybe after the events of the film, he just doesn't care anymore about the difference between dreams and reality. The Simpsons. Only God and Jesus have 5 fingers. The characters on The Simpsons are simply drawn yellow humans with 4 fingers on each hand, right? Many cartoon characters only have 4 fingers per hand because it makes animation easier, and The Simpsons are no exception, except for God himself. The only 2 characters in The Simpsons universe to be drawn with a full set of 5 fingers are God and Jesus. This is probably done to make the characters unique, befitting their status as divine entities. X-Men. Mutant rights are a metaphor for civil rights. The story of the X-Men has long been used by comic writers and artists as a metaphor for various civil rights struggles, but Bryan Singer's X-Men series brought a new angle to mythos by creating parallels between the on-screen mutant community and the real-life LGBT community. The wider political debates about mutants throughout the series also reflect national debates on LGBT issues. Ian McKellen, who plays Magneto in 4 of the films, even said that the LGBT parallels are the reason he decided to make the movies in the first place. Psych. There's a pineapple in every episode. Psych is a comedic detective show about a psychic who solves crimes. What does that have to do with pineapples? We don't know, but we do know that at some point, a pineapple appears in every single episode of the series, which aired for 121 episodes between 2006 and 2014. Apparently, this began with James Roday, the star of the show, ad-libbed a scene in the pilot by picking up a pineapple and asking, "Should I slice this up for the road?" Since then, the crew has found a place for a pineapple in every episode since, although they can sometimes be hard to spot.
Free your mind.
The Matrix. The Matrix is a reference to philosophy. While most people really dug the action scenes of The Matrix, the Wachowskis were actually very influenced by the French philosopher Jean Baudrillard, who argued that the contemporary world is dominated by simulacra, or signs of reality, rather than the real itself. In the famous red pill scene, Neo chooses to see the real world rather than the simulations of the Matrix. Though Baudrillard never argued that our entire existence was a computer program, the Wachowskis used the Matrix as a metaphor for our hyper-connected postmodern world. Neo even uses a hollowed-out copy of Baudrillard's book to store money and belongings in the film. Firefly. Han Solo keeps showing up. In Joss Whedon's Firefly, the character Malcolm Reynolds is a salt-of-the-earth renegade who travels the known universe on a ramshackle ship called Serenity. Sound familiar? Yes, the character is heavily indebted to Han Solo, the original charming space smuggler. Reportedly, actor Nathan Fillion is a huge fan of Star Wars, and so the crew tried to put his own personal Han Solo in carbonite model in the backgrounds of various scenes throughout the series. For the crew, the model became a running joke, and for fans, it became one heck of an Easter egg. It Follows. The monster is an allusion to STDs. Critics raved about It Follows for its spooky atmosphere and its retro vibe, but there was more going on behind the scares than some people realized. Everything goes south for Jay when she loses her virginity to a guy in the back of his car. After that, she's followed by a shape-shifting being who wants to kill her. It's a common trope among slasher movies that promiscuous characters are more likely to die than virginal ones. It Follows literalizes this trope by turning the monster itself into a kind of sexually transmitted disease. The director claims that the film wasn't meant to be puritanical, but that sex in the film is more symbolic of life itself. Just the act of living opens ourselves up to danger. Lost. Characters' names refer to philosophers. Lost was known for packing its episodes with weird references and hidden clues, but one of the most interesting is the way the showrunner named their characters after famous philosophers. John Locke, for example, is named after John Locke, a 17th century Englishman who believed that experience was the path to true knowledge. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a Swiss thinker who wrote about the pre-civilized man as a noble savage, served as inspiration for Daniel Rousseau, a character who roamed wildly on the island for 16 years before the oceanic 815 crash. Other characters like Daniel Faraday Ray and Desmond Hume are also named after intellectual figures, while Jack's last name is Shepherd, which is sometimes interpreted as an allusion to Christianity's Jesus, the Shepherd of Man.
You have a knack for getting in trouble.
Spider-Man. Becoming a superhero is going through puberty. In Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, Peter Parker's transformation into a superhero takes on clear parallels to the changes that occur to every teenager during puberty. Peter's body changes. He finds himself interested in the girl next door, and finds himself getting into fights with Aunt May, who just doesn't understand the changes he's going through. But unlike in the comic, this Spider-Man doesn't create mechanical web shooters for his wrist. Instead, it's a biological change in his body, and at first, Peter has trouble controlling it. And how does that unwanted sticky white substance relate to puberty? We'll let you figure that one out.
Disgusting.
Michael?
Halloween. Michael Myers is a metaphor for fear. John Carpenter is often credited for inventing the slasher genre with his seminal classic Halloween, which has spawned a franchise of 10 films and many copycats. But only the original film suggests the events aren't as real as we think they are. For much of the film, teenager Laurie Strode is babysitting little Tommy Doyle and his friend Lindsay, who are watching old horror movies and getting scared. With Halloween, John Carpenter brings out the feeling of terror you can get from watching horror movies with the lights out. And the fact that the teenagers were all smoking pot earlier in the film suggests that maybe Michael Myers is a hallucination, or a metaphor for those fears, rather than an actual killer. So what do you think of our list? Did we miss any other movies with hidden meanings lurking below the surface? Join the discussion in the comments below, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this one.